Rob Dauster here. I got Jeff Goodman with me.
Hell no.
John Fink.
Are we still live?
Field of 68 till I die.
I'm sorry, man. I blacked out.
Randolph Children.
DJ Khaled, you know the big DJ Khaled guy?
Hands thrown up and in.
Goodman needs to be fired all the time.
Josh Tasker. You're going to beat people straight up.
You know the deal.
Drink responsibly tonight. I'll be drinking with you.
Jarrell McNeil.
From the bluest of the blue bloods to the smallest of the mid-majors.
This is Field of 68 After Dark.
Hello, and welcome into the first Field of 68 After Dark of the college basketball regular season. And, oh, baby, we are already in survive and advance mode in college basketball. We had a lot to get to on the show today. I'm John Martin. I'm holding it down tonight, joined by Field of 68 co-founder Rob Dauster, joined by college coach and veteran Matt McCall. Gentlemen, great to see you as always. Real quick housekeeping as we speak. Michigan State and James Madison are in overtime, and they are fighting till the end here. And what a game I don't believe many people suspected would be nearly this close, and has given us really the only drama so far of the opening night of college basketball. And that feels like a good place to start, Rob. On social media all day long, all you've seen is people basically complaining about how there's just nothing interesting happening on the first night of college basketball. You had a great kickoff with NFL. We know NBA does it big. College basketball consistently just does not have any premier marquee games. How big of a problem is this, and how do you address it?
I think it's a massive problem with the sport. I think that there are ways to be able to find a way to cut through the noise that is, the middle of the NFL season, the middle of the college basketball season, the end of Major League Baseball playoffs, the start of the NBA season. There's so much going on in November and December in the sport that the idea that we have to sit here and try to force our way into being excited about a lot of these bye games is something that seems like it's a little bit ridiculous to me, especially when we spent the end of October celebrating all of these exhibition games that were played that didn't matter, right? Like why couldn't Illinois and Kansas be played on the first day of the season? Is it because those guys didn't want those games to actually matter? Is it because they didn't want those games to count? I know the answer, it is. But it's just, it's frustrating to me that we constantly have this conversation, right? And one of the things that I think needs to happen, and Matt, you can weigh in on this, we need to get the coaches out of the decision-making process when it comes to the schedules, because part of the reason that we have this issue is that all of these coaches aren't going to want to play games that actually matter before they really feel like they know what they have with their team, right? And it's the regular season, man. Like, you got to start playing games. College basketball is the only sport we say we're going to have this soft opening because, like, we don't want to be ready to play real games during the regular season. No, I made this point the other day. It's not like Major League Baseball teams play AA teams in the first game of the regular season. It's not like you have the Lakers out here playing G League opponents in the first games of the regular season because they want an easy way into the season. No, it's the regular season. It started. Play real games, man. Like, it's very frustrating that more and more, as these major networks divest themselves from college basketball, right? As the biggest media outlets in the United States of America find ways to take college basketball programming off of their airwaves, that we are sitting here saying, you know what, let's not have a great opening day. Let's not do something where we have the Champions Classic on the first day of the college basketball season. Let's not have good games. Let's sit here and pretend like Oregon playing Georgia in front of 223 people in Las Vegas in a neutral site setting is what's good for the sport. And McCall, I know I'm on a rant here, so I'll end it with this, right? Yeah. Part of what makes college basketball incredible is the on-campus venues. It's the excitement, it's the emotion, it's the student section. It is playing in these unbelievable storied arenas, right? And the sterilization of all these marquee matchups by sending teams to neutral sites where you can't get any fans in the building, like, all that does is make you focus on the actual basketball. And a lot of times, like, the actual basketball in the college basketball game really isn't all that pretty. I just There's so many things that you can do to make this so much better. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. My rant over.
Especially but like Rob, here's what I'll say. Especially this early in the season, except us diehards that love it, and we love it on the field of 68. Nobody's talking about college basketball tonight. Everyone's still talking about sign stealing gate with Michigan. When you turn on Sirius XM, it's all about college football. Who lost, who won, what's going on. Nobody's talking about hoops. But if Purdue lined up and played Kansas tonight, somebody's talking about hoops. If Michigan State, who's in a dogfight right now with James Madison with 1:38 to go, lined up and played Kentucky, we're talking about college hoops. Like, even if you go back, 3-4 years ago, whatever it was, when tonight everyone's playing on an aircraft carrier and they're playing outside, people are talking about college hoops. I think the biggest thing is, and Rob, I think you bring up a great point in terms of taking the onus off the coach. The coaches are the ones that ultimately approve the schedules. I know there's sport oversights, there's athletic directors that a lot of times are involved in scheduling, but the coaches, and especially the coaches that are so established, the Izzos, the Selfs, the Caliparis, like all those guys that are just the veterans in this business, man, give us something on the first night of college basketball to kick it off that brings excitement to get fans. Let's not wait till the Maui Classic, before Thanksgiving. Let's not wait for feast week when finally there's some attention. Man, today was the first day. It was a Monday. It's November 6th. Man, we need some excitement right now. And no, there's a little bit of excitement,
right?
But
it wasn't even a good Monday night game.
No question. Nobody was watching the Jets Chargers. Everyone would be tuned into college basketball. So I think you got to put a lot more on the coaches, and especially the veteran coaches that are established. They're not in year one. They're Hall of Fame coaches. Line up the Hall of Fame coaches to play against each other, just so we can get the season off on the right foot to just generate more buzz and more excitement around college basketball.
One point I will make while we're just on this discussion, and I do think it is a very pressing topic, and I think you're exactly right, Matt. Like, there is no buzz about college basketball today, and there should be. I mean, it is the first day that it is actually happening. But even in college football, Alabama's playing South Florida in the first week of the season. I mean, these powerhouse programs, with the exception of maybe a game or two, I think LSU played Florida State, sort of in the opener of college football. But you look up and down the schedule, and there was a lot of weak games, and there are far fewer, in college football. That goes to the football versus the basketball product. But I do think a good idea would be to just let's form a singular, isolated event every single year that signifies this is the start of the season. And if it's 4 teams, it's 4 teams, but make it 4 brands every single year and market the hell out of it. I thought it was a big problem tonight that most of these top 25 teams, I had to get on a streaming service. I had to go to a third-party app. I had to, look all over the, freaking internet to find them on a legal stream. These games should be at least televised in the first day of the season.
Yeah.
Let's start there.
Well, John, here's the other thing. Think about this. When college football starts, nobody else is paying attention to really anything. Maybe Major League Baseball, maybe at that point in time. It doesn't matter if Alabama's playing South Florida or, Clemson's playing UC Upstate. No, they're excited because that's the only thing that's good. The NFL hasn't even started. We're in the middle of college football season. We're in the middle of it. So what are we doing to generate buzz for the start of basketball season? It used to be Midnight Madness. It used to be October 15th or 17th. That was the day practice started. ESPN was coming into gyms and they were celebrating Midnight Madness. That doesn't happen anymore. Some teams have Midnight Madness. Some teams don't. Some teams start practice this day. Other teams start this. We're going to have a Midnight Madness. There's no Midnight Madness. Throw it out the door. That doesn't exist anymore. So what are we doing on November 6th, which is the first day of college basketball, to generate buzz for our sport? And we're not doing much right now.
Well, now, we could be having Kansas play Illinois. We could be having Purdue play Arkansas. We could have 15,000 crazy Razorback fans doing the Woo Pig Suey chant as they take down Zach Edey and the Razorbacks. But no, we got to do that in the game that doesn't count. We could have Bill Self going back into Champaign and taking a loss. But no, we got to do that in a situation where it doesn't count. Like, I don't understand how people can say those exhibition games are good for the sport when they could be happening right now. Why couldn't they? Why wouldn't they? Is it because coaches don't want to take those losses? It's frustrating to me. By the way, James Madison is up with a minute left in overtime.
And let me just say this from a coaching standpoint. Like, I understand it. Like, I get it. Especially for guys whose jobs may be on the line and you want to get off on the right foot. But there's a lot of guys out there that are already in the Hall of Fame that it's like, hey, man, let's do this. Let's generate buzz. Let's celebrate the start of college basketball because your job's not on the line. Let's call it like it is. Like, your job's – so if you go 0-1, hey, you want to get off on the right foot, totally get it, understand it. But, man, just to get some level of buzz around college basketball to start the season, because the way the rules are now, like I said, there's no Midnight Madness. There's no aircraft carrier games anymore. That was pretty cool to play in. I had an opportunity to be a part of one. It got canceled at the half because we had condensation on the floor. But like, I mean, those things are awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah, there used to be the 24 hours around the clock, right? I mean, we were getting games,
what happened to that?
In Hawaii at 3 a.m., and it's still like, I think that's what's lacking, right? I mean, people talk about college basketball and they sort of try to reduce it. They call it a 6-week sport. And I do think this is sort of the part where when your premier game today is Kansas State and USC, like, I mean, not to say that those teams can't, make runs in the NCAA tournament, but that's just not enough. That's not enough on what is the kickoff. And I do think, there is an onus on, whoever it may be. I don't even want to like name anybody, but they know who they are. Those coaches know who sort of bear the responsibility for, marketing this product essentially. Like, you can't just sit back and say, oh, well, they'll show up in February and March. Like, you're playing games in November, man. You might as well do what you have to do to attract some eyeballs. So I know it's not the game that, we anticipated, but Michigan State and James Madison, and this is sort of the challenge because everybody we have a different latency here. So it looks like James Madison is going to pull away from this with this thing, and I think that's a great place to take a break here. And when we come back, discuss the final results of this game, what it means for Michigan State. How devastating is this in terms of your viewpoint for what this team can do this year? Top 5 team going down on night 1 potentially here. You're listening and you're watching the Field of 68 right here on YouTube, on X. Back after this.
College basketball season kicks off this week, and there's no better way to get prepared for the wild finishes, the bad beats, and the total unpredictability of the sport that we all love than by purchasing access to the Almanac, a project that we at the Field of 68 partnered on with 3-Man Weave, Heat Check CVB, and Verbal Commits. Unlike last season, the Almanac is no longer a PDF. Rather, it is a website that features more than 1,500 words on each and every one of the 362 Division I teams in college basketball. We wrote more than 800,000 words in total. We spoke to every single Division I head coach to get a feel for the rosters, the rotation, the projected starter lineups, and what they think their team is going to look like this year. For everyone, from the bluest of the blue bloods to the smallest of the mid-majors, they deserve to be covered like they matter. And over at the Almanac, that is precisely what we do. Access costs just $19.99 for the year and can be purchased at the link in the description below. And now, back to our show.
Oh, and you guys thought it wasn't going to be a spicy night on night 1 of the college basketball season. You guys thought that Field of 68 After Dark wasn't going to have something to talk about other than no games happening. No, au contraire, mon frere. It appears, barring a miracle, that we're going to have a top 5 upset on night 1 as James Madison is on the brink of beating number 4 ranked Michigan State at Michigan State. I believe that score is 78-74. Michigan State has the ball right now, but time is winding down. I want to start with you, Matt. Obviously, this is just a nightmare for the team that is ranked 4 in the country if this result holds. How did this happen tonight for Michigan State? And I guess more importantly for James Madison.
Well, first of all, it's not a nightmare, John. Let's start there. I mean, James Madison's a very, very good team. Mark Byington's a really good coach. You're talking about a team that won 22 games last year that's picked to win the Sun Belt Conference. Edwards is a first-team all-league guy. Bickerstaff from BC had a hell of a night tonight. So I wouldn't call it a nightmare. Is it a loss? Yes, it's a loss. Is it a loss to start the season? Yes, it's a loss to start the season. I'm not going to be the guy that's going to overreact tonight on the field of 68, but you can't go 1 for 20 from the three-point line. You can't go 1 for 20 from the three-point line. But this is a very good basketball team in James Madison. Mark Byington's a very good coach. They won 22 games last year. So I think when you're looking at Michigan State and you look at the numbers, I mean, 1 for 20 from the three-point line, you shoot 5% at home. Tough to win.
Yeah.
I think that's.
Go ahead, bro.
Well, no, I think that it says a lot about I think the start of the season, right? And I think it says a lot about the guards that you have on that Michigan State roster. That was what we were expecting this team to be built around, right? It was their backcourt. I think we had them ranked like 4th in the preseason in the best backcourts in college basketball. And Tyson Walker lived up to the hype tonight. He's got 35 points, 3 assists, 6 steals, 12 for 26 from the floor. He's been the guy for the entire last 15 minutes of this game in an overtime. Jaden Akins, 2 for 10 from the floor. AJ Hogarth, 2 for 11 from the floor. They don't have great interior depth. Like there was a point in the second half where they were playing Cohen Carr, like a 6'4" athlete at the 5, right? Trying to figure some things out here. And if you are not going to get great guard play on a team that is built around guard play, you're going to run into some problems. And I also think that it's a little bit of an issue that, it's not an issue, but I do want to give some credit to Tom Izzo there. Like the one thing that you can say about him is like we criticize a lot of coaches for not playing some of these games. He brought a team that's picked to win the Sun Belt into his building. Like how many other teams did that? Right. I don't want to sit here and say it's the worst loss in the world, because maybe that means that, Juwan Howard's not going to bring some team that has a chance to beat him into their building the first game of the season. You're not going to get some of these things available. And man, it's
we have something to talk about.
I can't believe they're going to do it. I can't believe they're going to do it, man. Is this actually going to happen?
We have something to talk about on night one. We have something to talk about. We're too consumed with the games we don't have. We got a game. First 2 good teams playing.
It's not the one we anticipated, but that is the beauty of college basketball. Like these teams come out of, and James Madison's not out of nowhere, as you guys said. Like they're picked to win their league, and I respect what you're saying. Matt, in terms of James Madison. People are going to see it and they're going to react to the sheer result and the name. And you're exactly right. Like from a 30,000-mile view, like this, in all likelihood, what do we know about Tom? Like it's going to be fine, right? Potentially. So let's just sort of zoom out a little bit. Let's zoom out a little bit from the result itself.
Now that this game is officially over, can I give you guys a factoid? Michigan State is the first AP top 5 team to open a season at home against an unranked opponent and lose since number 4 Kentucky lost to Western Kentucky on the opening night in 2001. How about that? It's been 22 years since a top 5 team.
Who was on that Western Kentucky team?
Home. I have no idea. I couldn't tell you that. But how about that for a fact?
They're legends. Whoever the hell they are, they're legends forever now.
Was it Patrick Sparks? Wasn't Patrick Sparks? He was after that.
Sorry, 9 years old here. But in terms of Michigan State from an aerial view, what you saw tonight, and again, we know what Tom Izzo does. He gets his teams ready to play in March, and they just find ways to win. But that, I can't see out of my right eye. Like I told my wife I got to get an eye patch because they shot my eyeball out from 3. Like, how can you expect to win in basketball in 2023 when you go 5% or whatever it ended up from three, Matt?
You can't. Like it's the name of the game is putting the ball through the basket. And the other thing too is just the lack of balance. I mean, Tyson Walker took 26 shots. The next guy was Hall, who only took 12. So they've got to have more offensive balance. And as good as Walker is, and as good of a scorer as he is, and as elite as he is, there's got to be more balance top to bottom. He can't shoot 26 shots and them get to where they want to get to as a team. He's not going to average 26 shots a night. I know at the end of the game, he was trying to will his team to victory. He did a lot of different things. He had 6 steals in the game as well. But they've just got to have more balance across the board. Those other guys got to play better. I know Hogard, him and Izzo, and they've talked about their relationship, and Izzo has coached him hard. He's been open about that. He's made comments about that. He's got to play better. He's got to play better. You want to be an all-league guy in the Big Ten, you've got to play better, especially on night one. And I think the biggest thing too is for Coach Izzo and all these coaches tonight. It's almost like this barometer of, okay, where are we? Where do we have to get better? Clearly, they've got to get in the gym more and shoot shots and get reps and everybody, because you can't. I mean, and they're not going to go 1 for 20 every single night. Like, that's not going to happen. Right. I mean, they're going to have better shooting nights, but
how much? Let me ask you guys this: how much does this change your view on what Michigan State ceiling can be? Like, do you still see this team as a potential Final Four team, as a potential Big Ten champion, as a potential team that can win a national title? Like, that's what we thought they were coming into the year. Are you still there?
I mean, I honestly feel
who's calling plays.
That's the default setting, but man, it's hard to get that image out of your mind when you see them do that at home in terms of the shooting performance. I mean, and they also have like you guys said, I mean, Tyson Walker was a hero tonight. Like, that dude did everything, and maybe he's sort of the face of it. Maybe he can drag them, but I don't know. I would say I'm downgrading Michigan State. I'm downgrading Michigan State tonight. I don't think they're a top 5 team right now. Maybe they can be that by the end of the year, but I do believe they have some soul searching to do. Moving forward, there were some teams that did handle business tonight. Some teams that we consider to be contenders, including, of course, the Almanac's #1 team in the country, as well as Purdue. Was there a team that stood out sort of more so to you, Rob, of the contenders? Was there a performance that, felt like it stood above the rest?
I think it was the guy that stands above the rest of everybody else, and that's I think Zach Edey and Purdue. I looked up at one point, and it was 21-1 against a good Sanford team. They were up. I think it was like 40 in the first half. They ended up winning 98-45, and that's not a bad Sanford team that Purdue ended up playing, and to be able to just completely rip a team's soul out in the first 5 minutes of a game like that, I think says a lot about what Purdue was thinking about this entire offseason, right? And I think it shows you the level of difference between where Purdue is right now and where Michigan State is right now. Because the craziest thing about it is Michigan State was the 3rd best 3-point shooting team in college basketball last year, and they only lost one guy from their rotation, right? They lost Joey Hauser. Did it really change that much with what they were doing last year versus this year? Whereas you look at Purdue and they just come out and it's the same kind of steamroll thing, right? Yes, they got Trey Kaufman-Penn in there, and yes, they got Lance Jones in there, and yes, they look like they might be a little bit more athletic. And maybe we all kind of underrated the leap that Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer would take from their freshman to sophomore seasons. But Purdue just looked like an absolute buzzsaw against the kind of team. Like, look, Sanford is the kind of team that Fairleigh Dickinson is. They want to play buckyball. They want to get up and press you. They want to try to force turnovers. They want to shoot a bunch of threes. They want to pace and space. They want to do all that. And Purdue just completely suffocated them in the first 5 minutes of the game. It was over. It was over by the first TV timeout. That game was over.
Yep.
Yeah, the 0 for 13 start by Sanford from behind the 3-point arc was not the buckyball that we're all used to. And he's a terrific coach and has done an unbelievable job there. But I agree with Rob. I think it was the most impressive performance of the night. I think if Purdue doesn't lose in the first round of the NCAA tournament, and I get it. They did, and that's a big storyline, and we all have to talk about it. I understand that. We have them as the number one team in the country. I really believe that because of what they did last year and what they brought back. And you're talking about a team that spent 7 weeks as the number one team in the country. And Matt Painter has spent the entire offseason looking at why did we lose in the first round? Why do we keep losing in the first round? Because if they would have played FDU earlier in the year, they would have beat them by 40, right? Much like they did tonight. So what's the issue? What do we got fixed so we can win more games in March? But had they not lost in the first round last year, they're the number one team in the country. With everything that they have back, with the National Player of the Year back, the way that they performed tonight, you're picking them number one. At least I am. That's how I'm looking at them. They're the number one team in the country.
Yeah. Duke, of course, who we have discussed here on the show, for their part, 92-54 over Dartmouth. Kyle Filipowski says, no hips, no problem. Hips don't lie. He's back 25-7 in 27 minutes. But it wasn't just about Kyle Filipowski tonight. It was Jeremy Roach chipping in with 14. It was Caleb Foster at 15. Tyrese Proctor had 8 and 8. Rob, is that Duke at their best when it looks that balanced? And I know every night it's not going to be Dartmouth, but man, it was really everybody tonight for them.
Yeah, and they didn't even have Mark Mitchell tonight, so you didn't even get to see the full Duke experience, if you will. They have a lot of really good guards. It'll be interesting to see what happens as those freshman guards kind of get thrown into more difficult matchups. We are going to be down there when they play Arizona, who is currently up 115-40 on Morgan State right now. And that's a
lot.
Older. Oh yeah, that's a lot of points. That's an older Arizona team, so I will be curious to see how those freshman guards kind of hold up. But I mean, Duke is Duke for a reason. We had them as number one in the almanac for a reason, right? And as long as Randolph Childress didn't get on the broadcast there and start comparing to Kyle Filipowski to Giannis again, I think that we're going to be just fine seeing Duke go out there and blow some people out. I got a bigger question about North Carolina tonight, because I knew we were going to have questions about them defensively, but those Radford guards got literally anywhere that they wanted to get to for about the first 35 minutes of the game. Then they kind of ran out of gas, and North Carolina won by 16. But that was not the most inspiring performance I've ever seen from the Tar Heels.
Which you would think, kind of like Purdue did, like you would think Carolina would come out tonight and play completely inspired, right? And hey, listen, we're now give Darius Nichols his team credit. He's a terrific coach. He's done a great job at Radford. But you would think like the Tar Heels would have an edge. And we went through some, things in the off season, but we're coming out here and we're going to play this game inspired. And that just didn't seem like that was the case. And maybe they were overlooking Radford, which you shouldn't, who's a good team who wins a lot of games, especially under Coach Nichols. But you didn't see that from them tonight at all.
Yeah, we're burying the lead, though. John, you know what the biggest story was in the ACC tonight?
What's that?
Louisville. Louisville won. Louisville beat an American East team.
Dude, Matt told us, of course they won. You have to have faith in Kenny Payne. He's the man for the job. He has a lifetime extension. I always knew he would pull through.
You had to go there. Who was
it tonight? Who was it tonight? It was Southwest Community College. Is that who they got to win over tonight?
Yeah,
UMBC. Put some respect on UMBC.
Oh, that's right. Hey, they almost made history again.
Let's talk about another team from the state of Kentucky. Can we talk about the Wildcats? Can we move on to them? Do we have to stick with Louisville? Because Louisville won. Yeah. They're 1-0. They're 1-0.
They did.
They're not 1-1. They're 1-0.
That's true.
So let's move on.
We can't have the Kenny Payne discussion if he wins, right? I mean, that's not really fair, to the whole. You got to have a little bit of integrity,
Right now in this season, he has more wins than Tom Izzo.
Retire right now.
You're not wrong.
Just retire. Walk away.
You can't argue it.
It's not going to get any better than that.
But I want to talk about the Wildcats. I want to talk about the Wildcats. And I know they played New Mexico State, who's in completely rebuilding mode and everything that they went through last year. So we got to take it for a grain of salt. But, man, I thought Reed Shepherd was just absolutely outstanding. Just his ability to
Let's
defend,
actually do
make
that.
plays, do all those.
I was going to say, let's do that. Let's take a break because every single year, Rob Dauster is down on Kentucky. Every single year, just doubts them, right? Doesn't think they can do it, and they give Rob Dauster a 40 ball on night one. Is it enough? Has Rob Dauster seen enough? Is he a convinced and changed man? We'll ask him when we come back. You, of course, watching Field of 68 After Dark on X, on YouTube. We'll be back.
If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use the bonus code FIELD200 and you will receive $200 in bonus bets instantly when placing your first wager of at least $10 with BetMGM. Here's what you got to do. Download the BetMGM app. Sign up using the bonus code FIELD200. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game regardless of sport. You will receive $200 in bonus bets regardless of the outcome of your wager. Just make sure that you use the bonus code FIELD200 when you sign up. And remember, BetMGM is now available under one wallet in select states. As a New Jersey resident, this is super convenient for me when I have to go cover games in New York or Philly. When crossing state borders, just log into your existing account instead of having to create new accounts in each state that you go to. And most importantly, I got to let you know, we do have some fun stuff coming up for this college basketball season. Bet insurance tokens, college hoops odds boosts, my personal favorite, parlay odds boosts. So download the BetMGM app today.
Welcome back to the Field of 68 After Dark here on the opening night of the college basketball season. And we got fireworks, baby. Michigan State, number 4 in the country, goes down to James Madison at the house. Maybe an update coming soon on that outcome. But until then, Kentucky gets the job done, 86-46 in their opener. Before we went to break, Matt, you were just talking about the performance of Reed Sheppard. What did he show you tonight? And is it a performance that could maybe be a precursor to one of these deep Kentucky runs we haven't had in a while?
Well, I think, first of all, he comes off the bench and he grabs 5 rebounds. He has 12 points off the bench. Just defensively, I think he changes the game a little bit. I think he's a willing defender. I think he takes pride in that. He wants to pick the ball up full court when he has opportunities. But I think the balance for Kentucky's team, putting 4 guys in double figures. Trey Mitchell goes for 9 and 9 and 5 assists, so almost 5 guys in double figures. I just thought the balance offensively for them, they just looked like the Kentucky of old, like Cal's teams. I thought DJ Wagner did some great things. I thought Edwards did some great things as just young players within their program that this team is going to grow and it's going to develop. I think the biggest question mark is, if they get Big Z back, if they get these 7-footers back, where are they going to play Trey Mitchell? Because when you play him at the 5 spot, he's such a mismatch problem because he can pick and pop and make threes. When you slide him over to the 4, like we talked about last week, what are we doing pick and roll coverage-wise? Because he just causes so many different problems at the 5 for teams when he's on offense because of his ability to pass. I mean, he was catching on the perimeter, ball faking, driving, dunking at the end of the game. But I thought those young guards showed a lot of development, and I was really, really impressed with them today.
Yeah, I
Mr. Dauster?
100% agree. Like we know how good those Kentucky guards have a chance to be, right? My question was never whether or not they had the talent. The question was, how well are a group of freshmen going to be able to adjust to playing college basketball in an era where you have 23, 24, 25, sometimes 26-year-olds on these other teams, right? And I think the early returns are fantastic. I love that Cal is leaning into playing pace and space, right? Like when was the last time you saw John Calipari run an offense that was 5 out with your 5-man Trey Mitchell basically doing all the DHOs, all the dribble handoffs, running offense through him, pulling him away from the rim. They're for like the first 25 minutes of the game, there was literally nobody in the paint for Kentucky if they didn't drive there. And that is modern basketball. That is what you have to do to be able to win in this day and age. And I don't think I ever would have thought that we would see that from a John Calipari coach team, and we did. So that is something to monitor. Now, All that said, it's also New Mexico State. So I think we'll get a much better feel for what Kentucky's going to be next Tuesday when we see them in the Champions Classic. But it was impressive. And the last thing I want to note is that we talk about these guards, and they had 5 guards go for double figures tonight, right? We didn't even mention Robert Dillingham, 17 points, 5 boards, 3 assists, 2 steals. But Jordan Burks, a guy that no one really talked about in that freshman class, came off the bench, 7 points, 3 offensive rebounds in 11 minutes, provided a little bit of a spark. We don't know when any of those 3, Big Z, Aaron Bradshaw, Ogana Onyesa, we don't know when any of those guys are going to actually be back, right? We're waiting for an NCAA ruling on Big Z. Aaron Bradshaw is a 7-footer with a foot problem, which is never a good thing. And Onyesa, I think Cal said tonight, you have a couple, like 3 or 4 more weeks before he returns to practice, which probably gets you back to the first of the year at least until he gets back in the game. So Jordan Burke stepping in and being able to provide energy and make things happen on the offensive glass, I think is really big for Kentucky.
Yeah, just one last point on this, because I assume there's just the nature of Kentucky fans is there is a probably natural restlessness. I mean, it's been, quite some time since they made that Final Four run. So, Matt, I would just ask you sort of in terms of, what that fan base expects, what Kentucky has done, and you know how talented the roster is. So what does this team need to do? I mean, what is realistic for them in terms of ambition? I mean, should they just say, hey, we've got the talent, we can cut the nets down. We've always played this way. We've done it before. I mean, what's a realistic ambition for them with what they've got?
Well, I think the first thing is competing for an SEC championship. I mean, Kentucky for a number of years has always been the standard, and the league has gotten better. I mean, the league, when you think of Tennessee, where Texas A&M's at right now, they may have the best player in the league on paper going into the season. You're still playing against Bruce Pearl every single night at Auburn. I mean, you look, it's just top to bottom. The league has gotten better. I think when Cal first came into the league, it was kind of, hey, Florida and Kentucky, let's battle it out and let's see who's there. And it's not that way anymore. And I think first and foremost, it's can we compete for an SEC championship? I think they have the roster to be able to do that. Rob just brought up Dillingham. He did an unbelievable game tonight in only 19 minutes. So those young guards and their development. And then if they do get one of these front court players back into the lineup, gives them some versatility. But I love the spacing on offense. I loved how they played tonight. But I think the first goal is competing for an SEC championship, getting that back for Kentucky, being at the highest level in the league. And then in the NCAA tournament, listen, I know Kentucky fans are fully expecting them to get out of the first round or first weekend. They're not happy with them losing in the first round. They're not happy with them losing in the second round. Shoot, are they ever happy? Are they happy with them losing in the Sweet 16? I don't know. Is it Final Four or bust? But I think competing for an SEC championship is first. And then what's their seed, higher seed, who are they playing, what's the matchup? But if they get one of these big guys back, it does gives them some versatility to be able to play different ways.
Absolutely. On to the reigning national champs. They were in action tonight. Our first look at them. They roll Northern Arizona 95-52. Rob, it's always like an interesting dynamic to me because, they lost, Sonogo and they lost Jordan Hawkins, but they do bring back, so many of those ingredients. So what is sort of the dynamic when, you won a championship last year and, 40 to 50% of your production is back? Like, should the expectations maybe be even higher for this Huskies team?
I mean, how can you get higher than national championship? No, I think
they're
that
only
they
6.
are.
They're 5 spots. They're going to climb after 4 went down too.
Yeah, no, right now they're moving into the top 5. I've said it before that I think that they're probably closer right now to a team that is like top 10 to top 12 than in the top 5. I think they're more of like a 3 seed than a 2 seed at this point. But I there's room to grow. And the one thing that really stood out to me, and I watched the first half of that game tonight, the one thing that really stood out to me was, one, Alex Karaban is a dude. Nobody's talking about this guy enough. He had 22 tonight. He can really shoot it. He's 6'8". He can put the ball on the floor a little bit. And the other part of it is I think Samson Johnson is going to be a guy that can give you 15 to 18 minutes a night and be really, really effective doing it. Now, I will tell you this, John, and this is part of my vaulted challenge to you guys tonight, because if you look at the BetMGM odds right now, Marquette is plus 400 to win the Big East regular season title in according to BetMGM, which is astonishing to me, considering that Creighton and UConn are both considered to be the favorites over them. Marquette brings back everybody, right, except for Omax. They bring back the Big East Player of the Year, Tyler Kolek. They bring back first-team All-American Tyler Kolek. 8 of their top 9 are returned. Cam Jones had one of his best games tonight, and I don't understand how that team could be plus 400. So my vaulted challenge to you, John Martin, is that I think Marquette is going to end up winning the Big East regular season title, which probably shouldn't be a hot take because they won it last year, but here we are. They're rated according to BetMGM as the 3rd best team in the league. Is BetMGM just giving away free money? Is that what's happening?
No. I mean, I don't want Matt to get mad at me, man. Like Matt is part of the fraternity. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like I'm a little bit in church. I have to mind what I say. But no, man. You're donating, which makes you a great Samaritan. You know, I think there are better causes that you could donate to, like your local, shelter, your local mission, Rob. But if you choose for this to be your cause, man, knock yourself out. I will take your challenge happily, my friend.
Well, there we go.
Happily.
I think we need to keep a tracker all season long on how many times Matt McCall says he's a really good coach during Field of 68 After Dark this year.
This is a great steal shot of him,
now.
by the way.
Yeah, but he I don't know what happened, but he is frozen right now, taking the sip out of his seltzer.
When he heard your Boston, he was getting a kick out of that, man.
It's a great bottle of water. Floridian,
John,
great bottle of water.
I do think it looks like we're going to be able to get James Madison head coach Mark Byington here in just a couple of minutes. So we'll see if we when and where we actually get that. In the meantime, where do you stand on just kind of the Big Ten as a whole, guys? I'm curious for both of you, right? Like, we thought it was going to be a 2-horse race with Purdue and Michigan State, and everybody else was going to kind of be coming in behind them. But, look, maybe I shouldn't be changing the subject here at this point, but who really impressed me tonight? Wisconsin put up 105 points. Have you ever seen a Wisconsin team put up 105 points?
In 3 games.
Never.
Exactly.
Never.
Yeah, hit the lottery up there, man. Go buy a ticket.
Yeah, I think it's just I think it's too early to pass judgment on Michigan State and where they end up. I know,
Right.
fans are difficult loss, everything. I think they could still be, at the top of the league at the end of the season. We'll see how it all plays out. Illinois, they had some battle in the beginning of that game, but they went on to win by whatever it was, 28. I think it went 80-52 tonight. So I think the league as a whole, Rutgers goes down to Princeton, who went to the Sweet 16 last year. I wouldn't say that's quote unquote a bad loss. I think Princeton's a really good team. I don't think we give the mid majors enough credit when they beat some of the high major teams. I really don't. I mean, Princeton's a really good team. James Madison's a really good team. So, are we sounding the alarm on the Big Ten? No, I think it's way too early. I think we need to give those teams credit that beat big teams, Big Ten teams tonight. I really do.
I am sounding the alarm on the Big Ten. I'm going to do it. You can do. You don't have to do it. I'll be the one that takes the bullet on this one. This is what the Big Ten always does, right? The Big Ten plays a style of basketball that that doesn't necessarily mesh with what the modern game expects us to see, and I think that's coming into effect again. So, if there is one favor that the Big Ten is doing for us this year, guys, it's that they're imploding early, so we don't have to hype them up throughout the entire season. And I'll tell you who that's going to make very happy: Terrence Oglesby. He's going to be thrilled that he's not going to have to hype up the Big Ten all year long.
He's still sticking on his ACC take.
Apparently.
We'll shift to Big East. That will be the Big East this year. There's no doubt about it. We are hopefully very soon going to be joined by James Madison coach Mark Byington here momentarily. Obviously, a lot to get into with him as he pulls off the upset of the year so far, going into Michigan State and coming out with a win against number 4 ranked Spartan. So we'll do that hopefully here very soon. When we get back, you're listening to and watching the Field of 68 After Dark on YouTube, on X. Back after this.
College basketball season kicks off this week, and there is no better way to get prepared for the wild finishes, the bad beats, and the total unpredictability of the sport that we all love than by purchasing access to the Almanac, a project that we at the Field of 68 partnered on with 3-Man Weave, Heat Check CBB, and Verbal Commits. Unlike last season, the Almanac is no longer a PDF. Rather, it is a website that features more than 1,500 words on each and every one of the 362 Division I teams in college basketball. We wrote more than 800,000 words in total. We spoke to every single Division I head coach to get a feel for the rosters, the rotation, the projected starter lineups, and what they think their team is going to look like this year. For everyone, from the bluest of the blue bloods to the smallest of the mid-majors, they deserve to be covered like they matter. And over at the Almanac, that is precisely what we do. Access costs just $19.99 for the year and can be purchased at the link in the description below. And now, back to our show.
Welcome back to the Field of 68 After Dark. We are on X. We are on YouTube. I'm John Martin. He's Rob Dauster. He's Matt McCall. We're taking you through tonight, the first night of the college basketball regular season. Of course, the headline is the upset. Michigan State going down to James Madison. And we are going to be joined here very soon by the head coach of James Madison. Obviously, what a night for that program. Mark Byington is going to join us, and we'll get into just all the emotions, what that means for the program, and how the game came to be, all that here in just a little bit. There was a near miss, it felt like, Rob. Wake Forest, as a 19.5-point favorite, was down big in the first half, stormed back against Elon. You said you had a fact. What fact could you possibly have?
So they were down. Wake Forest was down by 20 in the first half, right? They were actually down by 21. And the amazing part of that is that they found a way to actually cover. They won by 23. It's the first time in 15 years that a team trailed by 20 points and ended up winning the game at 20 points, which
that's a brutal beat for Elon, man. I mean, it really is, because I'm sure, like, I could just put myself in that situation. Like, I'm partying, we're popping bottles. I got Elon plus 19.5. Like, no way.
They're up by 21 in the first half. Yeah. Hey, look, I want to give a shout out to Kim Herbert too. Like, everybody hyped him up as one of the breakout guys in college basketball this year. He had 33 points, 6 boards, 5 assists, 13 for 18 from the floor. Big night for him.
Yeah. If I had Elon, it would be my first and my last night betting on college basketball. There's no question about that. So, okay. And as promised, what a night for James Madison and that basketball program as they pull off a huge win against Michigan State. One of the games of the year. The coach, Mark Byington, is with us now. Coach, congratulations. Welcome to the show. How you feeling, man?
Yeah, thanks, guys. It's a heck of a first night. And when that's your first night, you can't make that your biggest game of the year. And but I want the guys to enjoy it. We just have tremendous respect. That was a heck of a game. Win or lose that, it was a battle all the way through. And they threw their punches, we threw our punches, and luckily we got the last one in.
Coach, obviously to be able to go on the road and get a win like that, I mean, you guys are, preseason pick to win the league. just talk about the focus going into the game and especially going into overtime. Like, what was the message in the huddle going into overtime in terms of, hey, guys, we're right here. We don't care what their ranking is. We have a chance and an opportunity to win this game.
Yeah, so the difficult part is I didn't know what to expect of my guys. I mean, it's the first game of the year, and you got to play in front of 15,000 people against a top 5 team, and we had a lot of lineups kind of going in and out throughout preseason, and we were in tons of foul trouble tonight. And the thing about going into overtime, actually, I thought our guys had great juice to them. I thought they had great energy. Tyson Walker is one of the best players in the country. He missed a shot, and I think it kind of gave us new life. And we came out in overtime and battled, got enough stops, and Raekwon Horton hit a huge 3. Really proud of him, and I just love the courage our guys played with. If we were going to have any regrets, it wasn't going to be because we didn't play aggressive, we didn't play hard, and we didn't go after. So we want to make sure we do that.
Coach Rob Dauster here. There was a moment with about 1 minute and 26 seconds left in regulation. Noah Friedel got a loose ball, ended up getting it stolen by Tyson Walker, who goes in and makes a layup. They call a timeout. You guys go into the huddle. What are you telling your team there? It felt like that was momentum-changing possession and momentum-changing moment. How do you get your guys back on the same page and end up forcing overtime?
Yeah, so we've been on this, and I've been concerned with our team the past 2 weeks. I didn't know if we could be a next play team. And, I wanted the guys, to be resilient and to be a next play team. And that was a tough situation. I mean, they end up getting the steal, and Noah Friedel had a couple threes I thought he was going to make, and we're going to ride or die with him. And then we still were able to bounce back and overcome it. And I love that. I've learned about some guys on my team tonight that I didn't know. We brought in 6 new players and 5 transfers and a freshman, and all of them contributed tonight. But I just didn't know what to expect of them in this situation. But I learned a lot about them.
We have Mark Byington from James Madison as they go into East Lansing and upset number 4 ranked Michigan State in overtime, 79-76. Certainly the results of the year so far. Coach, I imagine that, just getting the games like this is probably a battle within itself, let alone winning them. So do you expect you'll be able to get any more after this? Like, is there like that, oh man, nobody's going to want to play us in the non-conference after a win like this?
Yeah, we had trouble. We were fortunate to beat UVA 2 years ago, and every kind of since that game, we can't find many regional teams to play us. And Coach Izzo doesn't care. I mean, he'll play the Lakers, the Knicks. His scheduling doesn't care. And we're fortunate he gave us the opportunity. And we would have learned a lot about our team, win or lose. But we don't get many opportunities from many people.
So and we'll let you run because we know you're busy. How are you celebrating tonight, man? You got cigars in the locker room like the Raiders? How are you celebrating?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to disappoint you. I'm going to go back, watch this tape. I'm going to go start studying Kent State. We got a tough Kent State team on Thursday, and I'm doing my best not to drink during the season. So this is going to test all that, but I'm trying not to drink it all during the season.
Hey, man, if there's
I'll have one for you, Coach. Don't worry about it.
Coach, celebrate the wins, Coach. Celebrate the wins, man.
That's
yeah,
right.
I'll
Hey,
catch up in the summer if I don't celebrate tonight. Yeah. All right, thanks, guys.
Congratulations. He is Mark
appreciate
Byington there of James Madison as they go into East Lansing and pull out the overtime win. I mean, you got to make an exception, right? Just one sip. You know what I'm saying? That's a program and maybe job defining win for him.
Yeah, you know what though? It's kind of like he said. He's on to the next thing. He's worried about Kent State. I mean, you got to try to find a way to celebrate a little bit tonight. But his adrenaline's running through the roof after a win like that. That man, he'll watch the tape, try to dissect it. He's going to wake up tomorrow and he's going to be concerned with Kent State. That's the thing about college basketball. There's no real time to celebrate. It's, hey, listen, we did this. We're excited about this. But tomorrow morning, we're going to try to see what we got. We're going to get corrected, and then it's on to the next opponent. So, man, credit to him, credit to his team, and hopefully he takes just 1 second tonight to enjoy that because winning is hard, and you got to celebrate the wins.
You're going to have to wrestle with Pastner when he eventually decides to show up for one of these. you and him are going to have to duke it out for who gets to say that. You know what I'm saying? Because that was like his trademark at Memphis, was like how hard. And I don't disagree or that it is, but you and him are going to absolutely have to have that out. All right, on to some other things before we get to our toast of the night. We did have a few things set aside. Arkansas got a resounding win tonight. They have sort of been, Rob, the trendy pick to win the SEC. So give me the number, man. Arkansas will finish blank in the SEC.
I'm going to go top 4, but I think that they very much have a chance to win. I think that the top there's a tier of like 5 to 6 teams in the SEC that can't really separate themselves at this point, and I'll say top 4.
Matt, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think top 4 too. I mean, a team we haven't talked about from the SEC tonight either was Alabama and what they did against Morehead State. I mean, Grant Nelson, all the way from North Dakota. I mean, he was absolutely outstanding tonight. So, you got to look at them. You've got to. We talked about Kentucky. You've got to think Tennessee, Texas A&M. I mean, the top 8, 9 teams in that league. I mean, it is going to be a battle. So I think Arkansas could finish anywhere between 1 and 4. I agree with Rob, but man, Alabama looked pretty good tonight too.
So did Tennessee, also, man. You got to give some credit to Dalton.
So did Tennessee. So did Tennessee.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. I was going to mention that. I mean, they put up 80. That's like 120 over there. So that is certainly that's a big development for them. All right, one more. Matt, we'll start with you. Blank conferences will be in the Final Four this season.
Wow. Talk about a hot take. Blank. I'm going to go 3. I'm going to go 3 different conferences will be in the Final Four this season. I think we get 2 from one. I don't want to say Big East, Big Ten. Maybe I have to throw ACC in there just for T.O. I know he's tuning in right now. We don't want to upset him on the first night of college basketball, but I'm gonna go 3. 3 conferences make the Final Four.
Give me 4, man. Give me 4. It's gonna be something we don't expect. We're gonna get like one team from the Mountain West again, or we're gonna get someone like I don't know, from the Colonial or something like that. There's going to be some random team out of nowhere that makes the Final Four this year that we're not going to expect. That's the way it always happens.
Yeah, who else we didn't touch on tonight, guys? There was one team we didn't talk about tonight who just changed leagues, who I don't think's getting enough credit. And I know they're ranked in the top 10, but Houston was pretty good tonight, 84-31. We haven't talked about Houston at all in tonight's show, so.
We won't, because that's just sort of unfortunately the product of it, right? They just kind of, I think we take their consistency for granted a little bit. Let's see what they do in Big 12. But I mean, they're boa constrictors. That's what they do. They just wrap around you and they hold you to 32 points. That's what they've always done. It's probably what they always will do. But I do think Big 12 is a significant step up from Tulane and Tulsa every night.
You know what's impressive about it to me? The guys that we hyped up all off season, LJ Cryer, Jamal Shedd, Terrence Arsenault, they combined for 19 points tonight. Emmanuel Sharp went for 20, and he's finally healthy. And he was a guy that staff was pretty excited about being able to get back. He had a couple bad injuries senior year in high school and last season. Damian Dunn, the transfer from Temple, had 18 points in 17 minutes off the bench. So if they're actually able to get some scoring from other guys that aren't just the big name players on that roster, that's you're going to get a level of toughness and defense with Houston. That's what stood out. They had 2 guys that no one was talking about that went nuts.
All right, as we get out of here, let's do some quick toasts. I mean, can we all agree just for the first show of the friggin' season that consensus toast of the night goes to the James Madison basketball program? Can we agree on that?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Congratulations to Coach Byington and his team for pulling that off. Obviously a great result. Some fireworks for the first game and the first night of college basketball. Of course, we're here.
Can we get a little up to Princeton real quick first? Princeton follows up their Sweet 16 run by knocking off in-state rival Rutgers 68-61.
Sure.
Right, that's a little jersey-on-jersey violence. That's a home game for me. We got to give them a little credit, Mitch Anderson. Gotta give him a little credit.
Following it up. Absolutely. We'll be here every night, basically, of the college basketball season right here on X, on YouTube. It is the Field of 68 After Dark. For Rob Dauster, for Matt McCall, I'm John Martin. Thanks for joining us tonight. See you next time.